What's up, guys? I'm Mike. So I'm a worship leader out in Jacksonville, Florida, and where I live is north of Jackson. So there's not a lot of people here. So a lot of times we come up with the problem, what do I do if I don't have the techs to run the service that I need to run? So here's what I've done. I take my Ableton controls my tracks, it controls my ProPresenter, and my ProPresenter controls my switcher, controls my OBS, and it controls my soundboard, and it controls my lighting. We don't do really fancy light shows or anything, so it just controls whatever scene's coming up next for whatever song. That way, I kept it simple, and I'm able to control everything, and I'm able to set up my whole service to be automated. And I only need maybe one tech up here just to kind of monitor everything that's going on and to switch through the slides for the sermon. Unless Pastor has his little clicker or whatnot. But, so all right, let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the software called Companion. And what Companion is ProPresenter talks to Companion, and Companion talks to my switcher, OBS, and my soundboard. So it talks to all that stuff, okay? So what you'll need to do is you'll need to come over here and, excuse me, I'm sorry. Hey, if you guys can see this guy here, this guy is amazing for ProPresenter. Just thought I'd tell you that. I was refreshing my stuff here a second ago, so. But, so you're gonna go to Bit Focus, okay, Companion. All right, and you'll actually come up with this page right here. So let me just Google it real quick so you see what we're doing. Bit Focus, Companion. All right, now my understanding, some of this is different for PC as it is for Mac, okay? So I download it, I follow the steps and stuff like that. After I've done all that, I'll go ahead, exit out of here, and then you end up with this icon because you've already done everything. All right, open it up, okay. All right, you're gonna launch GUI. All right, so I'm gonna delete this so that you guys can see everything that I'm doing from the beginning, okay. All right, so come over here and I'm gonna wipe this page clean here for reset page buttons. Page. All right. So, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna address this problem, okay? We've downloaded our Companion, and now what we're going to do is we're gonna go to our soundboard and we're gonna set up our IP address, and we're gonna make sure we know what that is so that when we program Companion, we can, talk to the devices through Companion. Okay, so if you would, follow me on over to the board. All right, so we're at the board right now, cool. Yes, the camera is wobbly, and that's because I have it on a cheap stand. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm gonna come over to here to setup, okay? Network setup, and then my network is, it has an address already. And if I hit dynamic address, it will populate an address, a gate, and all that for me. All right, and when I turn that off, it may ask me to set it up in the static again, but I'll just set up what I had for the dynamic, if that makes sense. So I'll just mirror what I had from over here over to this here. You want static because you don't want to have to change, you don't want it changing on you. You want it to be the same thing every time. 119 will always be this soundboard, okay? So once I have my static address, my IP all set up, I'm gonna remember these numbers or write them down or whatnot because I'm gonna need them in Companion. You only need the IP address, that's the very top one. All right, so all IP addresses are not the same. So if you're trying to use what I had, don't use it. Yours will be different than what mine is, okay? So the way you find your IP address is you'll look on maybe your computer, okay? And matter of fact, oh, well, no. But you'll look at your computer addresses, your IP address on your computer, and you change the last numbers, okay? And that'll be numbers from 1 to 255. Some will be .1, .119, .whatever, okay? That is your network. Now the last three numbers are going to be whatever the device is. That's your device. So you set it up, your address, your network address, and that address will go to the last digit or digits, and that is your device, okay? I know that sounds complicated. It's really not once you get it. All right, so we're in the companion now, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a connection, okay? I have the Allen and Heath, Allen and Heath SQ6, add. This says 5, that's not true. Now I'm going to type in my IP address of my soundboard. Okay. And when I hit save, I should see it connected, just that fast, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you around a little bit in the presets, but it does not have the presets that I want. Now, for the devices that you put in here, it's really cool that they have presets that you can drag them, you can drop them into your button list, and I'm gonna show you that here in a second. So, I'm gonna go to buttons up here, all right? I'm on page 4 because that's my SQ page, but all these other pages here, say this is my OBS page, so I come over to my OBS studio, and I have all these different buttons that I can drag and drop. Say if I wanted to stream and I wanted that stream button to be there, that's where I would put it. So your presets are pretty cool. They're good to use, okay? Right now we're working on we're gonna create a new page, and we're gonna call it SQ. Okay, 6. All right, now we have all of these presets that we can use for our board to go into our button drop, okay? The problem is that these presets are not doing what I need them to do, so I have to make a preset for it. So I'm gonna go to button, regular button, and the way my scenes are on my board is I have the very first scene is going to be my zeroed scene. The second scene that I have is default. The third scene is song 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sermon, and then you know whatever you're using in your defaults. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make a scene, and here's why I use scenes. So say I have a volunteer who can't make it. What I'll do is I'll record our practice on Wednesday night through Logic, and then I'll take Logic and play it back through the board, and then I'll mix that, and I'll save each song to a scene. That way, whenever I put it in the companion, ProPresenter will say, hey, I want you to play song 1, to mix song 1 on the board. ProPresenter will tell what song to do, and I do that like the first slide of each song or something like that. All right, so scene 1 on my board is zeroed. Oops, not spelled like that. All right, you see how it's like that? I don't like that, so I'm just gonna bring the font down a little bit, so make it as big as I can and make it in line. All right, so zeroed. What I want is actually in the release actions, SQ. Scene recall. Now scene step is it just pushes it to the next scene, pushes it to the next scene, pushes it to the next scene, okay? Current scene brings it to, guess what, the current scene. Scene recall, that's what I want, okay? So the first scene on mine is zeroed, that's actually correct, okay? Right now it's not set to that, so there's no point in testing it until I get another scene set up. And I'm gonna do that again, scene 2, regular button, I'm going to put default. Size that up to fit. All right, same thing I did. Scene recall. Okay. Now, that is the second scene. So I'm going to come over to here to scene number 2. Okay. And my board is the second scene in the list. So that's going to be scene number 2. All right. Now, I'm going to bring you over to my board real quick. And I'm going to test that preset. It worked. Now I'm going to test zeroed. That worked. All right. It takes a split second, but it does come back to you. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put each one of these buttons as whatever scene that I have, okay? All right, now, once we go into here and we have all of our SQ buttons created, okay? And the way we're gonna look at our buttons is we're gonna come over here, we're gonna look at them right here. So SQ6, zeroed, all of my scenes are right here, okay? Now, remember they do have presets, okay? And the presets are, when you come into here and you hit this, buttons. All right, when you're here, let me come back to this real quick, guys. Sorry. All right, buttons, presets, Allen and Heath. And then you have all these presets. You can go through them, mute groups and stuff like that, DCA groups, all that kind of stuff. All right, and you can just drag and drop those in one at a time if you wanted to, if you really wanted all these different presets, but that could get confusing after a while. All right, again, you can have this app open on, I think you could do it on a cell phone too, to be honest with you. And you can control all this stuff that way too. But we're gonna do it through ProPresenter. Now, because we're gonna do it through ProPresenter, all right, we're gonna have ProPresenter control all of this stuff. All right, I'm gonna minimize that right there real quick. I'm gonna go into ProPresenter. Now, in order to do that, we have to create a device. Now, our device is gonna be a Rosstalk device. That is what Companion uses to communicate with different things. It's Rosstalk. All right, so we're in Rosstalk, and I'm gonna rename this Companion so that when we look at it, app, we know what device it is. That, because people are gonna be like, what's Rosstalk? All right, hardware, we want it to be network, okay? Behavior, we want this to be a controller. Don't worry about this right here. Now, address and port. These are very important because if you don't have the right ones, guess what? All right, so our our Companion address is this right here, okay? You can also find it on that little red screen whenever you first open it up, this one here. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna grab it from here. I'm gonna take there, I'm gonna command, copy, go back to my device that I was in the middle of setting up. Put that in there, okay? Now I'm gonna look for my port number, where to find my port number. Now your IP, you found right here, okay? Eek, which is why I copied it from the other thing. Your port number, settings. Let's go through our settings real quick. You want to enable the Rosstalk listener, because that's what we're using, Rosstalk. And if you're using OSC, which is really cool, you need to have that as well. All right, now, Rosstalk over here, 7788. That's our port number, okay? So we're gonna go back, and I didn't know, okay. Port number, devices, port number, is that 7788? Okay. Sure, there's a easier way to see all this while, you know, going through it. like that would be easier. All right, so now that all that's done, we want to make sure that it's set to auto reconnect, okay? We have our address. It is a controller through the network, and it is the companion app. Now, we're going to connect it. We're going to watch this connection just for a second, because sometimes if something goes wrong, it will bump it back and it'll get disconnected again. If that is the case where it gets disconnected, it is because of this, okay? All right, it's holding. Good. Now, that's also the case for this. I didn't mention this earlier. I think I should have. If you get like a yellow thing here and it says connected and you get an error message, it's because the address is wrong. So keep that in mind. That's most likely what it is. All right. So now let's do this right here. We've set up our device inside of ProPresenter, and pay no attention to this. All right. We set up our device in ProPresenter, okay? And now what we want to do is we want to make ProPresenter be the thing that talks to our device. And if you look in my macros here, which is this M right here, macros, this right here is ProPresenter talking to ProPresenter. This right here is ProPresenter talking to LightKey. And then I'll have ProPresenter talking to the soundboard, and then ProPresenter talking to whatever other device. This is how in my head, how I organize it. Blue means lighting, yellow means ProPresenter, talking to ProPresenter. Might be a little bit too much information, but in case you wanted to group your stuff, that's how you would do it. I'm going to add a macro, and I'm going to put SQ, and then I'm going to put what scene. Okay, so our first scene is zeroed. All right. Now, what you can do is open up your buttons here, and the address is right here, okay? So 42 is zeroed, okay? So once you've made your thing, we're gonna right click on it, and we're gonna tell it to have a communication, add action, communication, companion app, custom control. All right, down here in this little box, we'll put 4, and it's gonna be semicolon, or whatever the 2 dots is called, 2, okay? And then we'll hit enter, and that should be our zeroed, okay? So now what we're going to do, well, let's get 2 of these, that way we can test it. I'll do another one, and I'll put it on default. SQ. Default. All right, and then we'll repeat again. That's control, add action, communication, companion app, custom control. And I'm thinking it's 43 is the address to that. I remember that because it's the next thing. 43. And just in case you need to see why I think it's 43. So you had 42, which was 0. Next thing was 43, which is default. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, I'm going to put everything on the soundboard. Well, the camera, I'm sorry. I'm going to put the camera on the soundboard. All right. So the way I'm going to test my ProPresenter is I'm going to hit zeroed. Oh, I'm sorry. It is on zeroed right now, so I had to hit default. Now I'm going to hit zeroed. So now I know that ProPresenter is controlling our soundboard. And what I'll do now is I'll go in and I'll set macros for each scene. So SQ. Hey guys, look, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everything's well for you. I hope everything goes well for you. Leave a comment if you liked it. Hopefully that helps you. And remember, you set up all your devices the same way in ProPresenter. Once you've got your buttons all set up, you can set them all up in ProPresenter the same exact way using Companion to control it. I appreciate you guys. Take care.